Langston, Georgetown, and Cumberland's all fall tonight, and we have J.C. Isakson, head coach of the Providence Argos. Cascade Hoops Talk starts right now. Well, let's get right into it. First off, happy Tuesday morning. Last night, Georgetown, they fell to Cumberland. That's a team nobody wants to. They've just got big win after big win. Demarius Boyd and Jalen Aglin, they both scored 27. The Phoenix knock off number 3 Georgetown tonight, 92-89. So Georgetown, they moved to 23-2. I didn't get the extra one in there. And they're going to host Campbellsville on Saturday. Also in the Mid-South tonight, the University of the Cumberlands, they fall at Johnson. Now, this is a non-league game, non-conference, so it's not going to count in the Mid-South standings. But Mason Lockhart for Johnson, 40 points, 7 rebounds. A guy once told me one time, anybody scores 40 points at any level, you got to pay attention. That's quite an accomplishment. That's what I'm trying to say. Congratulations to him for that. Ben Rice had 12 rebounds added in. Caden Wendell, a freshman for Johnson. He got a layup. The video's on all over the internet. You'll find it. Just look up Johnson or look up by his name, Caden Wendell. It was a kind of a gutsy layup. He went in against a couple of guys and got the bucket to go with 1 second for the game winner. So both those teams fall. So in the Mid-South, all the teams qualify for the tournament. So what they're doing is they're really battling for, number one, you want to be conference champion, but it's really for seeding in the tournament because, you want to be seated as high as you can. And the only automatic bid they get to the national tournament is the conference tournament champion. So keep that in mind. So Georgetown still leads Cumberland's. Freed Hardman is another game back. So on Thursday, Cumberland, the Giant Killers, is going to be at Freed Hardman. And then Cumberland's has to go to Lindsey Wilson. So we'll keep an eye on those games. That's Thursday. In the Hart Conference, hang on. Here we go. So in the Hart Conference, only one game. This game right here, Clark defeated Culver Stockton 82-81. So I wanted to take a little bit deeper look at how the Hart works. So they get 2 berths, the conference champion and the regular season champion. They do traditional 8 teams, highest team hopes, 1 through 8, 2 through 7, 3 through 6. So looking at the standings right now, Baker still has a good lead. Mid-America Nazarene and Park, they're in a battle for that 4th position. Remember, number 4 in the first round of the conference playoffs, gets a home game. And Central Methodist is in a battle with Benedictine to make the playoffs. William Penn's not out, but boy, they're close to it. So with that in mind, let's take a look at what's coming up on Wednesday. Park is going to be at Central Methodist. So Park, it's interesting. They're trying to jump up into this 4th spot. Well, actually, they're tied for 4th right now. And Central Methodist is just trying to hang on to make sure they get into the conference tournament. And then Mid-America Nazarene, who, as we said, is battling for 4th, has to go to Baker. That's a tall order. They're playing pretty well, but boy, that's going to be tough for them going to Baker. And then Grandview will be at Graceland. And Graceland still is battling for that number 1 spot. They're firmly in that top 4, but they definitely want to hang on to that or move up if possible. Hey, let's take a minute to listen to J.C. Isakson. He's the head men's basketball coach, Providence Argos. They play in the Frontier Conference. I met J.C. actually a couple different times. He's come out to I met him in Helena this year out of Montana. But last year I met him at a tournament down in Portland. I went down for the tournament. He was at Warner Pacific. He's a really good guy. When I saw his team play early in the year, I thought they had a lot of potential. They struggled a little bit in the preseason, and then in the early season, and then they struggled again in December. But as conference got cranked up, they're playing really well. I think they've won 7 out of 9. They've really got a lot of pieces. They're just coming together. Why don't we listen to J.C. Isakson? He's the head men's coach, Providence Argos. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Hey, got J.C. Isakson on the phone, head coach, Providence Argos. Welcome, Coach. Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you reaching out to chat.
You know, Coach, you and I got the opportunity the last couple of seasons in the preseason to meet and let me I got to see your team play. I saw you at Helena this year. You and I got to talk quite a bit there. I thought your team had a lot of potential, and you and I talked quite a bit about that. You did struggle right at the start of the season. You had another little bump in December, but you've won 7 out of 9 now, and you're playing really well in the Frontier. Talk about what turned this team around and how'd you become so consistent?
Time.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, when we talked earlier in the year, we've brought in 15 new guys.
That's right.
This year, and I'm sure you'll talk about Jamil, and we only had him for half the season last year. He never played in the Frontier, and so we didn't have any guys that had played in the Frontier Conference. Brought in 15 new guys, so it took some time. I mean, I think we. You always do. I don't know if it's the perfect. I thought our recruiting class was good. I thought we had the pieces we needed. I thought we had the guys. It was just going to take some time. And, when we met earlier, our first 3 of our first 4 opponents are top 25 teams and really, really good programs. So we got tested early. And yeah, it just kind of took some time, but, we right from the beginning, we wanted to focus on playing our best basketball at the end of the year. And we still have a big stretch here and things can go either way. But so far these guys, they've really, since we came back from Christmas break, they've really came together and are playing at a high level. So hopefully we're still not playing our best basketball. We have a little bit more room for growth, and hopefully we can stay healthy and stay on this trajectory. But I mean, we're down to this 4-game stretch here going into conference tournament, and it can still go either way for us. So we're just trying to focus one practice at a time, one game at a time, one half at a time.
Yeah, right now as we speak, you're 8-3, tied with Montana Tech, really couple games or 3 games ahead of the rest of the pack. You mentioned Jamil a moment ago, really talented guy. I really enjoyed watching him play. Strong guy, can really get to the rim. He's averaging, 14 points a game, 16 points a game, almost 9 rebounds. He's a special talent, Coach.
He is. Jamil's, first and foremost, he's an all-star young man. He's a great kid, good student. He's a high character kid, but from a athletic standpoint and a basketball standpoint, he's a special talent. He's a Swiss Army knife. He legitimately can play all 5 positions for us. He can guard all 5 positions for us. And, he's the type of guy you look at those numbers, and the rebounding one's the big one. I don't think it's been announced yet, but he's going to be named Frontier Conference Defensive Player of the Week this week.
Congratulations.
And he's won offensive before. But, he's the type of guy, he can go score 25, 30 on any given night. And if he really wanted to go out there and average 20, 22 points a game, he could, but he's incredibly unselfish. He gets his teammates involved. He makes plays for people. And then he's just been unbelievable on the defensive end for us. So he's a special talent. He was one of the first kids we recruited when we got the job. And was under recruited, came out of a junior college, was hurt half the year, so went under recruited, and he was a steal for us for sure.
You know, you got a couple of guys also playing a ton of minutes for you. Uh, Antone Boyd, is that how you pronounce his first name?
Yep, Antoine Boyd, call him
Antoine.
AJ.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, Boyd and then Mike Wright are. I'm just shocked how well you guys are shooting. You're shooting the three really well. Bulls can struggle with it, but some of these guys are really filling it up.
Yeah, no, they're shooting well right now. But we, kind of when you go back, when we go through stretches where we are struggling a little bit, we're probably taking too many threes,
Okay.
or the wrong type of ones, and we just put an emphasis on the right shot, coming off of a paint touch, coming off of a one more, where guys are stepping into it, and those guys can also really get to the rim, and Jamil and AJ can get into the paint, and you got Mike Wright, who shoots it at a high percentage, Ryan Chavez, who shoots it at a high percentage, and when those threes are coming off of paint touches or putting pressure on the rim, they shoot them at a very higher percentage. So that's kind of been a focus or emphasis ours. But likewise, we got guys that can get in there in the paint, and when defenses stay out on shooters, those guys can get in there, and when they get in, those guys are usually open to step into one, and they've been shooting at a high percentage. Mike Wright is, I've got a couple kids on this team that are some of the best shooters I've coached, but from a practice workout standpoint, Mike Wright is, he's next level. He's that type of kid that can go in to a shooting workout or something, and he might miss 2 or 3 in 45 minutes when he's just out there catch and shoot. And doing that at 6'7", he can get his shot off of most guys. So he's a special talent when it comes to shooting the ball.
You know, Coach, looking at your schedule, I know you don't want to look too far ahead. I can, but you've got a pretty important stretch coming up to wrap up the Frontier. You're going to have Carroll College there at home. Carroll's been playing a lot better. That's another group, new coach. They've been kind of blending throughout the year. And then you play Montana Western and then Northern. You have to go on the road for those. And then you have to make that trip to Butte to kind of wrap up the season. You've got a kind of a tall effort in front of you. That's not the right term, but how are you managing the team right now? How are you keeping them from looking ahead at that Butte game on February 22nd?
Well, through this excuse me, stretch of league play, we just really try to adopt the 1-0 mentality.
There you go.
And it panned out for us. And in this league, we play each other 3 times, and you have 3 rounds of conference, which makes it really unique. And we're in that 3rd round now, where every team knows each other really, really well. And so you're exactly right. We're just trying to check the next game off. This league is special. Just look at, Northern knocked off Tech 2.
Yes.
Last week. That's anybody can beat anybody on any given night, and we just try to stay present in that. But the one thing we have talked about as a group is being in the driver's seat. Sometimes at this time of the year, you're in a position where you need some other teams to knock some other teams off, or you need some things outside of your control to go your way. And we're in our own driver's seat. So, we know that, but we know being in the driver's seat of that bus, there's stops along the way. And the first stop's Thursday, versus Carroll, who, you're exactly right, is a really good team, very well coached. I can't say enough about them. They're new coach, kind of new group of guys, and similar story of us has had ups and downs, but those guys are competing and playing hard, and they have the pieces, and
yeah, they do.
They'll be ready. It won't be none of these games will be easy, and then you turn around and go on the road. So we're we really are looking at it one game at a time, but we understand that we're in the driver's seat. We don't have to really worry about what else goes on around the league. We just have to take care of our business night in and night out, and be ready and be prepared, because this team in this league, I mean, anybody can beat anybody on any given night. So you got to be the best team on the floor on Thursdays and Saturdays, and you can't look too far ahead, because one misstep or one mishap, you might be out of that driver's seat. We want to stay in the driver's seat. So just staying present on the next game on the schedule, and then stacking a couple practices and weight sessions and film sessions together to go into every game as prepared as we possibly can to be successful.
Yeah, I think that message of control your own destiny, you're right. Like, you could be in a spot right now where you say, well, if so and so can knock off so and so, we might be okay. But you're not there. You control your destiny at this point. So that's a very positive message to bring the team. Coach, I got to give you a lot of credit or pick on me a little bit. I think about 3 or 4 weeks ago, when the Frontier was really kicking off, I said I thought that Montana Tech was going to run away with it. I thought that I said that out loud, and I owe you an apology, because the Frontier Montana Tech has not had an easy time, and everybody in that conference right now is competitive, and I misread it going into the start of conference, so I apologize to you and the conference.
Well, you could have been right. I mean, they're the three-peat champs for a reason, and their program's at the level it is for a reason. And they're a national tournament team, and they could get right back on a heater and be a battle. They're definitely at the top, but it's just such a unique league, only having 6 teams and playing each other 3 times. There's no hope you don't lose games like there are in some leagues. There's more tiers to some other leagues and bigger leagues, and some games you just kind of know you should win and go in, and every single night you're just in the Frontier, you're just clawing for a way to hope to score more points than the other team.
Well, I can't wait for these next 4 games. From a fan standpoint, it's going to be fantastic. All your fans there in Great Falls need to get out for that Carroll game. That is a huge game for the Argos. Really encourage your fans. It'll be a lot of fun, too, as well. And then you've got a brutal road trip. But, Coach, I can't wait to see how this Frontier is going to finish.
I appreciate that. We're excited to see how it all shakes out, too.
Yeah, you're anxiously waiting, too.
We're just trying to control what we can control.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate your time very much. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate the time, too. You do a great job covering our small college basketball.
Oh, that's very kind. That's J.C. Isakson. He's the head men's basketball coach of the Providence Argo there in the Frontier Conference. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks a lot to J.C. Isakson, as well as to the University of Providence. Really appreciate him giving me the time. As always with these coaches, it's always on short notice, and they're extremely accommodating. One thing I noticed as I re-listened to it, when we talk about Montana Tech, I always said Butte. I'm sorry, it's just out here, if you say you're going to Butte, everybody knows you're going to take on Montana Tech. It's at a high elevation, it's an old mining town, and a trip to Butte's always tough. Okay, let's keep going. One game in the southern states, that Abraham Baldwin, they got a much longer name than that, but they fell to Middle Georgia State, 81-56. So let's take a closer look. There's a lot of writing here, but the playoffs are a little bit different. So they got it broke down into East and West, and I'll show you in a second. East 5, East, West 4, East 5. See that? This is the first round, and then 2s and 3s play in the second round. It's a little bit convoluted, but what does that mean? There's 5 teams from the East and 5 teams from the West that qualify for the playoffs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So everybody but one team qualifies for the playoffs, and there's from the East and from the West. So it'll be 10 teams total. So right now, ABAC and then Blue Mountain would be the odd teams out. Hope that makes sense. We'll keep tracking that. So big games coming up on Thursday. Middle Georgia State is going to play Life, and they're tied at 11-3 in the East. Mobile plays Loyola, and Mobile is leading the West, and Loyola is trying to work up and get a little bit more safety zone for that number 5 spot. So keep an eye on those games. In the Sun Conference, Florida Memorial beat Florida National 89-58. This is a non-conference game. Florida Memorial goes to 20-5, and they're going to host. No, that's not right. They're at Coastal Georgia on Wednesday. That's incorrect up there, but they'll be at Coastal Georgia on Wednesday. Right now they're 20-5. So in the Sun Conference, one other game, Kaiser, important game for Kaiser. They beat up poor Coastal Georgia, and we'll talk more about that, what that means. So the Sun Conference does things a little bit different. You really want to finish in those top 2. The top 2, which see Kaiser right now by a half game, is in second. They get a bye in the first round, and then these teams play like a semifinal, and the 2 winners play these 2. So you really want to finish in that top 2. Gives you obviously a lot easier way to get to the conference championship. So right now, St. Thomas would be the last team qualifying. Coastal Georgia is 2 losses out. That might be too much for them to make up for. Here's how it's all written out longhand. But basically all you need to know, top 2 get a bye. These 4 teams play a semifinal, and then the winners of the semifinal play these 2 teams. Got that? There's a test at the end here. So on Wednesday, with all that being said, Kaiser, who's trying to hang on to that 2 spot, plays Weber at Weber. That's a game that Kaiser should pick up. And Florida Memorial will be at Coastal Georgia. Again, this is a game Florida Memorial should pick up, but Florida Memorial is really trying to catch Kaiser for that 2 spot. Langston falls again. They fell to Texas Wesleyan. Texas Wesleyan beat them wire to wire. They beat them wire to wire, 70-53. Richard Amafule, 15 points, 12 rebounds. He had a double-double. Trey Senegal, he added 19 points for Texas Wesleyan. Langston goes to 18-7, and they will be at Central Christian on Saturday. Central Christian knocked off MacU tonight at home. That's a tough game going into Central Christian, and Langston has really struggled on the road. So let's look at how. Here's the MacU at Central Christian. Central Christian beat them by 7. You can zoom it up. You can see that. That's the other score in the Sooner. Pay no attention to all this over here. Basically, the Sooner is top 4 teams play the bottom 4. Higher seed gets the home in the first round. So you want to be in that top 4 so you can play at home in that first round. After the first round, they all go to one site, and I believe it's at Langston this year. So Langston right now is tied for that 4th, 5th spot. See that? They really need to get up above it. They want to play at home in that first round, because they could end up having to go somewhere. If they end up down 5-6, they could end up going somewhere, get beat, and not even playing the tournament at their house. So they're going to be really desperate trying to bump their way up and stay in that 4th position. So all that being said, and right now Panhandle is in the playoffs by a game, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. They're the last team in. UNT Dallas is going to battle them, though. So on Thursday, Wayland Baptist is at College of the Ozarks. Mid-America Christian is at Science and Arts. Oklahoma Panhandle, we just talked about, they're at John Brown. This is a big game for both. See, John Brown's battling to get up into that 4th spot, too. And Nelson is battling with or hosting Southwestern Christian. So Nelson has that 1-game lead right now, but they're tied in the loss column. I know it gets a little inside baseball stuff. Once a week, I said I'd make sure I updated you on the Cal Pack. Here's the games this past weekend. No surprises there. Simpson got a good win. UC Merced, I'll just go out on a limb. I don't think anybody's going to catch UC Merced. They are the class of the league, and they're showing it so far. They've got, what is that, 2.5 game lead on the field. So Westcliff, who is chasing Merced, is going to be at Cal Maritime, and Simpson is going to be at UC Merced on Saturday. So they play on Thursday and Saturday. Couple games to keep an eye on. Well, thanks a lot to J.C. Isakson. Thanks a lot. Hopefully it doesn't get too complicated trying to track, but it's really important to track where these teams are in relationship with, what how the conference seeding goes for their tournament. So that's what I'm trying to pivot to. I know today it was a little bumpy, but we'll get them all figured out. I hope everybody has a great day. Join us again tomorrow. We'll have Kevin Williamson, Dakota Wesleyan, as that team starts to heat up and they inch their way into that GPAC race. That's all I got for now. Thank you very much for supporting our podcast. Please like and subscribe. Get out to your local NAIA school, because NAIA basketball is the best entertainment value in America.